And we're back for a fourth battle between Human Boy Yes Yes and Phoenix King on the BBB Season 1 tournament. In this Best of 5 series, this fourth battle will be a Tomb Kings versus Dark Elf battle, which is quite a meta matchup, both of which are quite a powerful faction. Now for the Tomb Kings led by Phoenix King, we have a front line of skeleton warriors and backed up by a bunch of skeleton spears. They are here to protect their powerful missile core, 3 Ushabtis with great bows. One of them, the Chosen of the Gods, that has scatter shots to provide even more scattering, splashing damage against enemy infantry formations. At the back, 3 Nekara horsemen to provide a bit of defense against enemy mobility. And all the way to the front, 4 horse archers skeletons with their skirmishing firepower. They can 1. Basically counteract any possible crossbow cavalry, and 2. Absorb any firepower from Scourge Runner chariots because they're dirt cheap, and if they take the damage, it's definitely better than the Ushabtis taking the damage from the anti-large chariot shots. Leading the army, we have Arkan the Black here with Spirit Leech, Fate of Buna, and also a bunch of skeleton summons. Pretty typical stuff. Now, for the Dark Elf army led by Human Boy Yes Yes, a very standard stuff of Bleak Swords mixed in with Black Arc Corsairs, backed up by a bunch of Dark Riders with shields and also some Cold One Knights hiding in the forest, seeking shelter from the Tomb King's armor-piercing missiles within the vegetation. Now, speaking of armor-piercing, the Dark Elves did bring their own version of armor-piercing firepower. We have a whole bunch of shades here, some of them with the dual weapons variant, providing a little bit more anti-infantry attack. These guys are a solid pick against Tomb Kings with their armor piercing. They can hunt down the toughest of Tomb King's construct, and on top of that, they have good enough leadership and melee stats to hold their own in melee combat against skeletons. Leading the army, we have a rather cheap option here, not the most meta lord, but indeed a very useful one. Coming in with only the Burning Head, a Supreme Sorceress of Fire, just here to provide magic support to clear out enemy skeleton chaff. All the carrying will be done by the army instead of the leader, unlike the usual meta lord picks like Malice and Malekith. Anyways, that's it for army builds. Without further ado, let's begin with the battle. From the very beginning of battle, the Shades are deployed ahead of their own army. Their stalk thus allows them to hide away from enemy firepower in plain sight. If you can't see them, you can't shoot them, simple as that. So they can push forward without being worried about bombardment. While on the flanks here, there is some skirmishing going on as the skeleton horse archers are trying to chip away enemy health with their little bit of firepower, but the Shades will be counter-firing, dishing out some nice damage to them instead, and an ambush has been sprung. With Dark Riders being slightly faster than the skeletons, they should be able to catch up despite taking some minor skirmishing firepower damage. So Nekara horsemen will be moving out trying to intercept these Dark Riders. In the middle, the Shades open fired at Arkan, doing some minor damage, but they don't have snipe. So unfortunately, once they start shooting, they will be revealed and start getting counter-shot by Chosen of the Gods, but they do have loose formation, so the damage isn't that substantial. On the side, the Nekara horsemen managed to push off the Dark Riders. But then the Cold One Knights have also countercharged, intercepting the Nekara horsemen, wrecking them with their anti-large armor piercing. While they themselves having heavy armor doesn't take much damage in return, the skeleton horse archers also struggle to do damage due to their heavy armor and shields. The front line of both armies have made contact, and as long as the Bleak Swords aren't shot by the Chosen of the Gods, they will be having a decent fight against skeletons. On the far side, the skeleton cavalry managed to rout off the Dark Riders, but then the Cold One Knights are here and they will be wreaking havoc among the Nekara horsemen. Back to the front line, things just got even better for the Dark Elves as there is a nicely placed Burning Head going right down the front line of the skeletons, allowing the Bleak Swords to start pushing on and pressuring the backline. But more importantly, the biggest pressure are the Shades here. Phoenix King probably underestimating the power of the Shades, allowing the Chosen of the Gods and the regular Ushabtis to sit too close to these armor-piercing firepower, and now they're doing substantial damage to the Tomb King's construct. Same goes for here on the left flank of the Tomb Kings. The Ushabti with great bows are caught by the Knights of the Ebon Claw. They might be taking heavy losses, but they are fighting tooth and nail to bring down those Ushabtis. Combined with the Shades shooting up the Ushabtis, this one Ushabti is definitely dead for sure, while the Dark Riders continuously pressuring the skeleton horse archers. With a combination of cavalry and infantry, the Dark Elves are steadily crushing Tomb Kings on this flank. Finally, Phoenix King has noticed the threat of the Shades and charged in some skeleton horse archers hoping to tie down that firepower. But the problem is Shades aren't pushed over in combat, especially when buffed by murderous prowess. They currently have 51 melee attack and 37 melee defense. plus solid leadership of 68, they're actually holding quite well against the skeleton horse archers and doing massive damage to them instead. Even the skeleton spears against the regular shades doesn't really do much here despite not being the greatest trait for shades. The shades are definitely taking some costly damage and their shooting is disabled, but they are also not faltering like your usual missile infantry. These dual weapon shades even managed to beat the skeleton horse archers in melee combat despite their anti-infantry bonus doesn't do much to cavalry. At the back here, the Koan Knights, despite their leadership teetering on the edge of breaking, they're still holding and managed to charge the Chosen of the Gods, all thanks to the murderous prowess giving them a bit of leadership boost, allowing them to do some final damage against the Chosen of the Gods before finally being broken by that Spirit Leech, which is cast by a returned Arkan the Black who is trying to turn the tide here. Now the Bleak Swords are also catching the Ushabtis with great bows, forcing them to pull back, while the skeleton front line are in shambles. A summoned Ushabti is desperately trying to hold back all the Dark Elf forces, but unfortunately the mobility might be too much here. Even the Knights of Ebon Claw, who are on the verge of complete destruction, are still holding, and more Dark Elves are pouring onto this flank. The balance of power is definitely in favor of Human Boy Yes Dark Elves. Phoenix King only has his Lord and the missile troops left, but the thing is, skeleton horse archers gets out-traded by everything on the field. They can't outshoot the shades and they can't fight them in melee either. And all other Dark Elf units on the field can straight up beat them in melee combat. Arkan the Black now tries to spam Spirit Leech to snap out the Supreme Sorcerers of Fire, but at this point, the Dark Elf army alone can carry the game. They have a strong combo of missile and melee troops, while the Tomb Kings are still too busy trying to handle the Dark Elf melee pressure. Their Ushabtis and Horse Archers are pushed into the back of the battlefield while the Shades are marching up ready to shoot them to pieces. Back to the middle, Arkan is surrounded by the last of the Knights of the Ebon Claw and some Black Ark Corsairs, but his curse is active, draining the health of surrounding Dark Elf units. There are some summoned skeleton warriors here pushing away the Shades, but the Shades can simply run away with their 42 speed versus the 28 of regular skeleton infantry. Skeleton horse archers are still shooting at the Supreme Sorceress on foot, but then she is a foot character, so not exactly the most concern for her, while the Bleak Swords will be pushing them away. They can't really catch the horse archers, but all they need to do is screen away the skirmishing cavalry so that they can't shoot at their liege lord. At the same time, some Shades are approaching Arkan the Black hoping to shoot him, but unfortunately the friendlies have blocked their line of sight. But that doesn't really matter anyways, as Arkan the Black will be finished off in melee combat. While over here, the Shades have managed to approach the Ushabti with great bows, revealing themselves, and the Ushabtis not seeing those Shades as they were in stock. They'll be paying the ultimate price for their own mistakes. There's a stray Burning Head coming from all the way on the other side of the forest, probably doing more friendly fire damage than actual damage to enemy skeletons, but that doesn't really matter at this point. Arkan the Black is finished off in melee, everything goes into crumbling as Army Losses is hit, and Human Boy Yes will be securing his second victory in the series. In the post-battle screen, first of all, GG and well played to both players here. Human Boy Yes did a great job at using the Shades here, allowing them to chip away the health of all those Ushabtis, basically earning back most if not all of their value over the game. While the Koan Knights not so much here, being heavily targeted by Ushabtis, they suffered heavy casualties, but still in the end, due to the murderous prowess or murderous mastery buffing up their attack and leadership, this allows them to stay longer in combat than usual and also inflicted substantial losses on those Ushabtis, taking revenge for their fallen brethren. For the Black Ark Corsairs, one of them earned back their value, the other not so much but still having a lot of health to give. They trade well against skeletons due to their heavy armor and anti-infantry bonus. The mobility did okay, nothing too amazing here, earning back probably over half of their cost, mostly there to handle enemy Nehekara horsemen as well as pressure away all those horse archers. Infantry-wise, Bleak Swords did okay, again nothing too substantial, they trade well against skeletons but that's about it. While the Supreme Sorcerer is mostly there to drop Burning Heads and thin out enemy chaff lines, so not much to say about her as well. Mostly it was the Shades that was carrying the game. Not only do they have great firepower, but they can also hold their own in melee combat. So all the Tomb King units on Phoenix King's army, short of the Nehekara horsemen, can't really do much damage against them. Even if they manage to get a charge, the melee stats and leadership of the Shades would manage to repel them. As we all saw that one skeleton horse archers being destroyed by the Shades in melee after they got buffed by the murderous prowess. Now for the Phoenix King's army here, only the Chosen of the Gods and the Ushabtis did some decent damage here. The cavalry not so much, as they trade horribly against the Khorne riders. Skeleton horse archers, now their main use in this matchup is possibly to pressure those dark riders with their crossbows, but unfortunately here, there's no such unit, and there are also no cheese runners, so they can't really provide any mobility pressure, as they are threatened by all those dark riders and Khorne knights. Their missiles are also on the weak side here, being outgunned by shades, and most of the damage can be mitigated through the Khorne knights' heavy armor and shields, or just shields on the infantry, so they unfortunately did not do much in this battle. Skeletons, well, basically they're chaff, so not much to talk about, and Arkan the Black here, mostly doing damage with his magic and skeleton summons, but unfortunately not having that kind of ability to carry against all that firepower and heavy cavalry. Now this is the end of the 4th battle in the best of 5 series between the Phoenix King and Human Boy Yes Yes. The 5th battle will be in a separate video coming out soon, so be sure to subscribe to the channel to see what is the final result between the two great players, the Phoenix King and Human Boy Yes Yes. That's it for today, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Tactical Lich, signing out.